Today I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, checking out the all-new 2024 Dodge Hornet RT. I also have a video on the 2023 GT. Yes, the 2023 GT will already be on sale by the time you see this video. These will come out as 2024 models later in the year, closer to summertime. But the main takeaway you need to know about this model is that it's the first all-new Dodge in over 10 years. The last time we saw a new Dodge model was the Dart sedan. This is also the first hybrid model in the Dodge lineup. It's very similar to the setup you're going to see in those Jeep 4xe models, specifically the Grand Cherokee, but of course in a smaller, tighter package. Up front, things are pretty much identical to the GT model. In fact, the RT and GT can be spec'd so close together that they're basically indistinguishable, other than the fact that the GT does not have exhaust pipes in the back. These models all have exhaust pipes in the back, which is kind of interesting considering this is the hybrid, but I digress. The front end obviously looks like the Alfa Romeo tonale upon which this vehicle is based, just with a Dodge Charger face grafted onto the front, and I think that's all right. However, I wish they had done more to change the rest of the design, to differentiate them a little bit more. For me, this doesn't look enough like a Dodge on the rest of the vehicle. It still looks like that Alfa for me, so let me know if you agree with that. What do you think? Which one do you prefer? Obviously, the tonale is actually going to only come with this powertrain. This is the second of two powertrain options for the Hornet. Like the GT model, we have full LED headlights with the amber turn signals integrated into the DRL signature swoop going on right here, but no fog lights on any model, including the GT. When it comes to size, Dodge says this is competing with a wide range of vehicles, all utility vehicles, but also hot hatches. So things like a Hyundai Kona N, things like a Honda HR-V, and things like a Toyota RAV4 are all part of the competitive set for this model. However, this is set apart by the fact that it is far more sporty in its orientation. Overall length is 178.3 inches, the wheelbase 103.8, making this an inch shorter than a Honda HR-V for perspective, but this has 8 inches of ground clearance just like the GT model, so a decent amount for a subcompact crossover. With something like a Subaru Crosstrek, something more off-road oriented is definitely going to have a little bit more than this. This is focused on street cred, street performance, even this plug-in hybrid model. This model is the fastest of the Hornets. We'll get to that in just a second. Out back, things continue to look like the Alfa Romeo, but Dodge, of course, gives it their own twist with the Dodge Rhombus logo right here in the center. It's actually illuminated red, just like the new Volkswagen logos, like on the new Atlas in ID4. So that actually is included in the illumination. And the rest of the elements, this actual shape of the light fixture is the same, but the elements that make up the LED signatures are a little bit different. Down below, the way you distinguish this from a GT model is the fact that the lower bumper has a glossy, or I guess a shiny finish as opposed to matte, and we have actual exhaust pipes. Something I'm surprised about, again, because this is the hybrid, that one's actually the 2-liter turbo gas only model. I would have expected to see pipes on that one, not this one, but it turns out that's what we have. Like the GT model I had earlier, this one is equipped with the track pack, so you're going to get darker accents to the Hornet name, the RT badge, as well as the Hornet logo on the fenders. You're also going to get upgraded wheels, the 20-inch wheels with the Brembo brakes up front and the Michelin Pilot Sport all-season tires. They're 235 millimeters wide. There are also 18 and 17-inch options available. If you want a plug-in hybrid powertrain in your next subcompact crossover, this is one of the only names in town that'll get you there. This is a 1.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with about 175 to 177 horsepower on its own, paired with a 121 horsepower electric motor at the rear axle, which gives this all-wheel drive. The engine powers the front axle, the electric motor powers the rear axle. They are not physically connected, they are only electronically paired. Total system output is 288 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque, which Dodge says makes this the quickest utility vehicle in the segment. There's a 15.5 kilowatt-hour battery on board, which can give this 30 miles of all-electric range when fully charged. If you want to charge it with a plug, there's a 7.4 kilowatt onboard AC charger that will charge this up in 2.5 hours if you use a level 2 plug. If you don't want to charge this up and treat this more like a regular hybrid, just like the Grand Cherokee 4xe we drove last year, there is an e-save mode that will increase brake regeneration and will use the engine more often as a generator to help charge the battery over time. The EPA hasn't released official fuel economy figures just yet, so we don't know how efficient this hybrid system is, but we will get back to you when we find that out. And of course, when we get one at home to test it ourselves, we'll let you know how it does in the real world. Whether you get a GT or an RT, the front seat is going to feel about the same. The entire interior is going to feel just about the same. The only thing that really changes in this model is you get less cargo space because of the powertrain, but I'll get to that in a moment. We have the same 12-way power adjustable driver's seat here, as well as the passenger seat. Same range of motion, 4-way lumbar on both sides, and 3-person memory on the driver's side. Three things that you really won't find in this segment very often, especially at this price point. Now, the seats are still very comfortable, like in the GT model with the same seats. They're covered in Alcantara with a red mesh insert. They're only heated, not ventilated. That is one thing I'd like to see, however, but if you want that, you're probably gonna have to step up to the Alpha version. In terms of passenger room, I'm noticing pretty much the same dimensions as the GT model. Plenty of headroom, though of course no moonroof, so I can't judge how those models are, but it's a single pane situation, so there would definitely be a dip somewhere around here to help clear heads that are taller than mine. But at 5'9", I'm pretty comfortable back here. That's where I was sitting earlier. About an inch of knee room left, but enough wiggle room down below. However, this portion of the underbody, or the structure under the seat, I think it protrudes out a little bit further because there's probably more hybrid components down there. So footroom is not as good as the GT model, I will say. But again, overall, this is a pretty spacious place to be. Still 2 map pockets, both on the driver and passenger side. Same middle seat feel where this is not as high off the ground as some other competitors, and it's more in line with these seats on the outboard positions, but the seat back is still pretty hard and firm because we have that fold down armrest. And luckily we still have the ski pass-through too. So if you want to fit long items all the way through without folding the seats down, you can do that. And just like the GT, we have the air vents right here, the USB-C port and the USB-A port. Back here, we only have 22.9 cubic feet of space, but like the GT model, a flat load floor, or I guess a flat lift over area. It's a little high, but it's flush with the actual floor itself. And with the seats folded down, you get 50.4 cubic feet of space. That's about 4 to 5 cubic feet less than the GT model. But under the floor here, we still have some storage space, but quite a bit less. There's more going on under this area, so you only have this well right here. In the GT model, there was a lot more going on over here in terms of space. There was actually room if you wanted to put a spare tire here. You really couldn't do that. The only place you could put any extra storage would be right in this well right here. Taking a look around the interior, no moonroof up top, though you can get one of those. But as you can see here, we have the Alcantara seats. There's a mixture of leather on the bolstering and the Alcantara here, which has this red mesh pattern, which looks really, really cool. And these seats, again, are quite comfortable considering how sporty they are. Height adjustable headrest, of course, height adjustable seat belts, and over on the door panel there, it's a mixture of materials. Then here in the center, we have the standard 10.25 inch Uconnect 5 system. This is a really excellent system, very snappy response. All the things are right where you need them to be. Honestly, this layout is very similar to what you find in other newer Google-based systems I've been in, like the new Toyota Audio Multimedia System or Nissan's infotainment system, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, full width maps on Android Auto, which is great. And again, this is just a really snappy system. It's the best implementation of Uconnect 5 that I've seen in a Stellantis product, so good on Dodge for making that happen. And down below there, we have your air vents, of course, and then physical controls for your HVAC. I like that we have toggles and buttons, so that's all really great. Sort of like what Genesis does, we have a knurled knob here that you rub up and down to actually control the volume. You push down on it to turn on and off the audio. Then below that, a piano black finished button, but you know, you're not going to be doing this one too much because it automatically engages the electronic parking brake, so you won't be messing with that too much, but it's nice to have an electronic version. It does free up a lot of space. Your ESC off button, your parking sensor off button right there, 2 large cup holders right there, and then a somewhat small center console storage area. It's deep, but it's not very wide of an opening. As you can see, that's my hand. That's all you get. The steering wheel here is a pretty sporty design. It's thick, it has good 10-2 grips right here with a more perforated finish to them. Flat bottom down below. This particular model, it is heated. The Dodge Rhombi logo, I didn't know they were calling it the Rhombi until this event, but that is what the shape is. There's 2 rhombuses, so Rhombi actually, and that's how they call that now. Then through here we have the standard 12.3 inch digital instrument cluster. That's a nice piece of tech to have at this price point, and it's pretty customizable. In the center there you can change what it shows you, including driver assistance features, your fuel economy, your map display, so you can get a full width map on that center portion, and the left and right, you can move that stuff out of the way if you want, and other things too. So if I go and change what's on the right side, I can go through audio, more of the map, fuel economy, your tire pressure, trip information, a compass, and back to audio. You can't customize what's over on this left side. Pressing this button on the stalk right here actually changes the design theme of the instrument cluster. Here's what that looks like as I shuffle through. Then a closer look at the door panel. We have that hard plastic here, hard plastic there, the plastic door handle with the silver finish. 3-person memory seat setting buttons right there. A plastic finish that has a metallic look to it for the speaker grille there. Hard plastic padding here is pretty decent, stitching, and then hard plastic down there. Dodge put a lot of effort into making sure the dynamics were very similar between the two, and of course this model is heavier than the GT, but dynamics-wise, steering feels the same, the suspension feels the same, pretty much everything about this feels just about the same as the GT. One area where this massively differs from the GT model is in the way it delivers power. Obviously, on paper, this is more powerful. We've got more horsepower and a lot more torque. If I put this into the electric mode, we're only going to get rear-wheel drive because that electric motor is only powering the back wheels. If we put it in hybrid mode, it's going to act like a normal hybrid. But like I said earlier, if you want to treat this like a regular non-plug-in hybrid, put it into e-save, because what that's going to do is it's going to make sure that the engine acts like a generator to help charge the battery. It's going to increase regenerative braking power, so when you're going down a hill like this, you're going to feel a lot more regen, and actually enough that it slows the car down. You're never going to actually bring the car to a stop, but it is noticeable. But yeah, off-the-line acceleration is pretty impressive, but this doesn't have the same sort of grunt as the 2-liter because it's got all that extra stuff going on. It's a much smaller 4-cylinder engine. So, in terms of that Dodge-ness that you get out of the regular GT model, this doesn't have as much of that, but still enough, and it's a really good implementation of a plug-in hybrid system in a Dodge model. I think once we get larger versions of this engine in other Dodge products, they're going to be pretty impressive powertrains. Like I said earlier, the suspension feels very much like the regular model, and I think this feels a little bit more planted because of the lower center of gravity from that battery and the overall weight gain, but at the same time, I'm not noticing too much of a difference. Dynamics-wise, this feels a little bit more like there's some body roll involved because of that extra weight, but again, they've tuned it really well. It doesn't feel too sloppy. The brake feel is pretty good for a plug-in hybrid. There's no, weird, wacky feeling. It's not mushy. The pedal itself still feels just like the GT model. You don't really notice the transition between regenerative and friction braking, so that's really good. And again, I can't control the regen, but if you put it in e-save mode, that'll give you the max regen. This is still a very sporty driving experience. It's not soft and plush. Again, you're going to want to test out the Alfa Romeo version when that comes out, but I'm curious to see how that compares to this version with the same powertrain. I don't know how much more, if that one might weigh than this. I don't know how they've tuned that one. This is probably going to feel a little bit more sprightly than that one just because of the missions of the vehicles. This car is also very quiet at low speeds. Riding through downtown Asheville here, it's very, very quiet. I didn't test the decibel levels with my equipment, but you'll have to wait for the full review for that, though I suspect this is a little bit quieter than the gas engine. Last thing to point out is that we still don't know fuel economy figures yet, so I can't exactly tell you what to expect, though as I've been driving around here in the Asheville area, the system says I've been getting about, 34 miles per gallon. So that's actually not too bad considering I've been idling a little bit here and there. So, we'll have to see what the EPA says, but I imagine this will be a pretty efficient hybrid because of how small the turbo engine is. There is the sport mode down here, but you do have to be in the hybrid mode. If you're in electric mode, it won't work. Or if you change into electric drive mode, the sport mode will turn off. And again, that power shot feature is only available in sport mode. That e-save mode is actually pretty potent because I've been able to get back about 6 miles of electric range just by coasting and going down hills in that mode. So again, if you really want to treat this like a regular hybrid, Stellantis makes that possible with this plug-in hybrid powertrain. But why do that when you have the ability to plug it in? Make sure you do that if you buy one of these. Don't treat this like a regular hybrid unless you absolutely just cannot find a charging station near you, but you can plug this in at home too, so don't forget about that. This can accelerate pretty hard in just electric mode. It's not turning on the engine for me, so you could treat this kind of like the Toyota RAV4 Prime, where that model will allow you to fully accelerate to 60 miles per hour on electricity only. I haven't had a chance to try that out here today, but I will when I get this home for a full review, so stay tuned for that. Overall, this is a very refined plug-in hybrid system. I would really recommend getting it because, again, it's a very unique option in this segment. It works really well. It gives you that customization to make it do what you want it to do in terms of how it saves energy or saves battery power, things like that. Dodge has actually gone pretty aggressive with the pricing of both the GT and the RT, and if you lease one of these, you are going to qualify for that $7,500 federal tax credit. But these start at $39,995. If you get the Plus trim, that's going to go up to $44,995. Those are both before destination. But then you also have the ability to add on the Blacktop package, the Tech package, or the Track pack. But at the same time, like I said already, you don't have to get the Plus trim to get those packages. You can get a base model with the tech package. You can get the base model with the blacktop, the base model with the track pack, and that price will change. But of course, if you get all those packages on top of a Plus trim, you're gonna go past $44,995 for sure, probably closer to 50 grand. We don't know pricing fully just yet. These don't hit dealerships until later this spring. But you also get standard autonomous emergency braking, forward collision warning, blind spot monitoring, and lane keep assist, but that tech package will add more advanced adaptive cruise, more advanced lane centering, a 360-degree surround view camera, things like that, including built-in navigation. This model right here does have that tech package, but if you get the Plus trim level, which this one must not be because it's missing a sunroof, even though I've been hearing that some of these prototypes here today were missing the moonroof, even though they were supposed to have a moonroof. But if you want the moonroof, you have to get the Plus trim, and that moonroof is not a panoramic size, just like it is in the Jeep Compass. It's just a standard size single pane moonroof. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Let me know what you think of this Dodge Hornet RT. I have a video on the GT version as well, so make sure you go check that out on the channel. But let me know what you think about this model, because this is an interesting proposition in this segment, and it's obviously a very interesting car for Dodge to come out with after 10 plus years of not bringing anything new to the market. I'm very glad we have something new to talk about with this brand, and I want to know what you're thinking about it, so let me know in the comment section below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe if you're a fan of Dodge or just happy they have something new to talk about, and if you're a fan of detailed car reviews like this, make sure to also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, the Alex on Autos website for the written reviews, Auto Buyer's Guide podcast right here on YouTube and on your favorite streaming platforms, and the EV Buyer's Guide channel for EV-specific content. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.